This is Too Many Words with Jayme Bedingfield. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I got a pretty awesome episode in store for you guys, if I do say so myself, and I am, so it's happening. I have Julie Anderson on the show in a little bit. She is the one of the co-founders of Feminine Collective, which you've heard me mention because I write for it. I had an amazing time talking to Julie. She is an inspiring, amazing woman, and I'm excited to share our chat with you in a little bit. I'm going to do some rambling first. That's what I do. I work out my thoughts and my worries and my updates with you awesome people who tune in so regularly. And if you're new to the show, welcome. How's it going, guys? How are you? What's up? What's new? What are you working on? What are you hoping for? Are you enjoying your summer? Are you taking every moment for what it's worth? I don't know. I'm up and down. No big surprise there, but I'm frustrated with myself. I'm frustrating me. I don't I don't even know really how to pinpoint how I'm frustrating myself, except I'm just, I have a thought and I'm like, oh, she's thinking that again. And I'm trying to do all this stuff, and I'm working on all these different projects, and I'm trying to pay attention to all of them, and I there's been a lot of moments of self-doubt lately, a lot of those whispers. And part of it is I am spread a little thin at the moment, especially the fact that it's summertime. Some of it is waiting for other things to happen, and patience is not my strong suit. I'm willing to accept that. I'm stubborn and impatient and obsessive, and I'm coming to terms with all of that. Part of it, part of what I'm dealing with, and I guess I always deal with it, is I don't like to accept limitations. And I don't mean just by rules, I mean my own limitations. Like, if I get an idea that I want to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out how to make it happen, and I'm going to jump right into it head first, because that's just the way I am. Sometimes, after jumping in head first, I realize that it wasn't the right choice, or I need to do this one thing differently. And, you know, I don't like to back down, even if it makes sense, even if it's in my best interest. If I've said that I'm going to do something, or I've decided that this is a certain way that I want to do it, I have a lot of trouble getting off of that, even if it makes sense to change it. And it's like, by accepting that something is, adds way too much on my plate, or I decide that it's not exactly the right fit, or whatever, somehow by accepting those limitations, I feel like I'm failing, even though I realize that's not really how it works. That's how my mind perceives it. If I decide that for instance, the summer, it is crazy, and it's getting crazier and busier, and I'm looking at my schedule and I'm trying to figure out what I need to change. But as I'm trying to figure out what needs to change and what I need to tweak, I, on a pretty main level, my main focus is like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about it though. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe it's like a different kind of fear of failure, I feel like. But at the same time, going back, so here it is. I've been getting a lot of questions from a lot of you and other readers, what I'm doing with the highly capable and the immensely powerful. Um, the Ruby stories. What am I doing with them? I know a lot of the other, authors that I was over a book trope with have announced their future plans for their books, and radio silence for me. And I was talking briefly about this in a previous episode with AC Fuller and his plans with Anonymous Source. And we were both in a similar camp as we don't know what we're going to do. And as you know, I'm shopping around my YA contemporary, Not Without Sunshine, and Ruby's been on the back burner. But I have, and I don't know if you will see this as good news or bad news or weird news, but it is what it is. Ruby in the form of the highly capable that you're familiar with, if you did read it before Book Trope's closure. I am rewriting all of it, and it's going to be in the third person. And this is why I brought this up. Aside from the fact that I wanted to answer your questions, and I haven't been dodging them. I've just been planning. I've been thinking, inspiration. It takes a while, and then finally it hit me, and I've been working on it. But the reason why I mentioned this at this moment is because I was talking about accepting my own limitations. The book writing process is an extremely long process. And at every phase, pretty much, the book looks different at the end of it. I have learned so much in the last few years. And I've also grown a lot as a writer. My writing that I'm writing right now, you compare it to, you know, the original draft of The Highly Capable, which was the title at the time was Adventures of Miss Mindship. The writing ability there is really night and day. And like I said, I go into things head first. And sometimes, my learning curve, it takes a minute to catch up, but it does. And I consider myself a pretty fast learner. I'm stubborn with accepting certain things, but, you know, that's, I guess, the theme of what I'm talking about is I'm stubborn and I'm frustrating myself. But anyway, and this goes back to the conversation with AC Fuller as well. He was talking about his book and he was talking about how he felt like he could do better. And as I was writing the second, I was writing the first draft for the second book in the Highly Capable series, I kept getting this nagging urge that I was focusing on the wrong part of the story. Don't get me wrong, Ruby's awesome, but the world, we just got to see, I just got to show you a small piece of it. There's just so much more there to explore. So I have the chance. I have the chance to go back and do it the way that I feel like I should do it. So that's what I've decided to do. And all the characters that you're familiar with will be there in some form. But I'm not going to limit myself here. I'm not going to rush myself. I am going to just put my head down and write the damn book. And I'm really excited about it. And I will, of course, keep you updated um, as I know more. But right now, this is where it stands. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. But nothing is perfect. And people grow and situations grow and projects morph into different projects or into more projects. And I'm really working on trying to not only be flexible, but giving with myself. I'm always talking about kindness and how the world needs more of it. And you know what? That starts inside. We need to be kind to ourselves. And for some reason, well, I have a good guess of, a few different reasons why this is, but I'm not naturally nice to myself. And I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying not to be so hard on myself. And I want to achieve everything. I want to do everything flawlessly, but aiming for that is, it's not good for my stress levels and it's not realistic. And of course, go into things, full-heartedly and give it your all. But also pay attention to what you're doing and seeing, hey, if this is not working, what can we fix? And I don't know, changing things, it just makes me uncomfortable. I don't like change. Um, it just goes, it's like just making decisions when shopping in the grocery store. It's like, is this the right choice? There's a lot of noise outside and inside, but just tuning into my own gut, tuning into your own gut, I recommend it. I feel like it's an exercise where if you teach yourself to tune out the extra noise enough, being able to really pay attention to what you need or you want would be a little bit easier. But I don't know. I don't know. I think so. I think that's good advice. Yes, pay attention to yourself. Find ways to shut the noise off in the world and give yourself a few moments. I need to get better with that. I really do. Um, and it's not quite the same as just popping a beer and taking a quiet moment, which I like to do that. But at the same time, the giving myself more unscheduled writing time. Here's a time to sit down and write, but write whatever you want to write. Or just walk and don't worry about where you're going or how many steps you're doing. Listen to your favorite songs and just walk. And right now, as I adjust my schedule, because it's summer, and when I originally set up my schedule, it wasn't summer, and just like I'm stubborn, putting a schedule together isn't my strong suit. So I need to allow myself to, you know, kind of move that schedule around, adapting, and adapt to certain things. And I have several new writing projects starting, so there will be some changes. And that brings me to some Elliot Granger and the Clueless Brigade updates. The final episode of the first volume, um, the final episode will air on July 30th, and then volume 2 will start on September 10th. So there'll be about a 5-week break before the new volume. Yes, I'm definitely going to leave you on a cliffhanger, but I will also make it worth your while when I bring Elliot back in September. So that is the Elliot update. And well, I don't know. What do you say? Are you ready to hear me talk? You ready to hear me talk to Julie? I think it's time to go to it. Listen to this little bit of song, and then you will hear me talking to Julie. Julie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jayme. Thank you.
Back when I originally started Too Many Words, I had H.M. Jones on the show. And she was talking to me how she has posted poetry with the Feminine Collective. And that's how I came to just learn about this awesome community where, everybody just feels comfortable speaking what's on their mind. And it's a really cool thing that you have going there.
Thank you. I've mentioned before that I'm really honored, or we're really honored, to have voices like yours and H.M. Jones and all the other brave voices out there join us in the collective. I knew it was rare to have honesty in whatever form, but I didn't realize how rare it was until we started, gaining traction. And now it seems like every other day somebody says, "My God, I've never seen anything like it. This is amazing." Nobody's as honest, nobody's as forthright. I guess what's the word I'm trying to? Most people don't take ownership onto their inner crazy. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely. Well, and I think, and in the same fact that, a lot of people don't do that, it's something I think that a lot of people are craving. So to find these outlets where, people are being real about their issues, it's comforting because, let's face it, we're all dealing with stuff. So the more that people are open about it, it gives other people either motivation and comfort of also talking about it, or just something to hold on to, even if they don't want to also, come out. They know that they're not alone.
This is true. And that's basic. That's actually how it all came about. Well, I don't know. Are you ready for me to launch into that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I had a series of unfortunate events when I was in Australia, Sydney, Australia, in 2008. I became a resident at a swank, let's say, hospital, and it was due to a mix of pharmaceuticals, all prescribed, that had an adverse reaction, and then various stressors in my life at the time, because I wasn't owning up to whatever I felt, traumas, and this, that, and the other thing. So I lost the plot there. I found myself at this hospital in Bronte, and it was the first time in my life that I was actually around people who let their guard down, people who were themselves, even though they were damaged, quote unquote damaged. They were rich, they were poor, they were old, they were young, they were gay, they were straight, the population there is more of Aboriginal and I guess English or British. So, Aboriginals, it was just like a whole mix. And it was cool because, people didn't hide or the facade that society put on them. And for the first time in my life, I found myself laughing, really, really just laughing.
Oh, wow.
And it was great. And then, of course, it's like this whole I don't know if you've ever had the chance to stay at the Pajama Hilton or not, but that's what one of my friends, Dory Owen, Dory Owen,
Yep.
yeah, that's what she calls it. When you're at the Pajama Hilton, when you're sitting there smoking 1,000 cigarettes and drinking. But anyway, when you have, a million cigarettes and watered down coffee, and you're sitting there exchanging thoughts on, life and what does it all mean, and everybody always passes their diagnosis around like, oh, I'm bipolar, or I'm whatever, manic this. What, I mean, I can't even think of all the different terms that there were. It had something. I mean, it was like a cocktail of wild fantasy craziness. And there was this one woman there who, I don't remember her name. She was, I'm just going to describe her physicality. Not that I judge people by their physical looks, but just to give you a picture. She was overweight. She was probably 26 or 27. She lacked hygiene skills. She had about 6 or 7 whiskers growing off of her chin. She was the daughter of a very wealthy man. Clearly she had lots of issues for whatever reason. She just had a hard time with herself and a hard time with life. And one of our, mini marathon cigarette sessions, I turned and I said, God, I wonder what I am. I mean, I wonder if I'm bipolar. I wonder if I'm man. What am I? And she said to me, this girl, who, on the face of it, most people would probably turn around and go, oh God, please take a shower and get rid of those whiskers or whatever. Disregard her. Society is.
Yeah.
She said, Julie, you don't ever want to have a label. Never ever accept a label that anybody's ever given you or wants to give you. And for me, that was very profound. And so that girl, I mean, if she even remembers me, I don't know, but I owe a lot to her. And then from there, it was profound.
Society, the way it is, I mean, there's categories now on all our phones and our tablets where we can just stay in these little areas. I mean, categorizing yourself. Everyone is, themselves and goes through what they go through, and there doesn't need to be a label or a name or a neat place to put it in. I mean, things aren't neat, they're complex.
Yeah, they certainly are not neat. So from there I ended up I went in on a low dose of an antidepressant and this other medication that was to help me stop my cigarette habit, all of it low doses, and I left 50 pounds heavier with shingles up and down the left side of my body and a mohawk of boils that went right down the left side of my scalp, and all of my hair fell out or broke off or whatever. It took me about 2 years to recover from that fantastic incident. But during that time, I'm so grateful for that time because it really just kind of like stripped me raw. And I was allowed to say, I feel like shit, or I feel like this, or this bothers me, or, whatever. From there, my family all moved to Paris. I've always been somebody that's always asked questions. I've been a fashion model. I was a fashion model since I started at 8. When did I start modeling? I think it was 17. I left home at 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went from a very small town with a pretty religious upbringing to just going completely berserk out in the quote-unquote world. I always asked questions. I was fascinated with people. So here I was after this, what could have been a catastrophe, asking people, hey, do you ever feel like this? Do you ever just want to drop dead? Do you ever feel like, oh my God, I fucked up my whole life? And that's my girlfriends, they started helping me saying, you know what, I'm just like that. I was just like that. I had that experience. And I used to be really angry. I used to be this, or I used to be that. And then I tried this. And that's how Feminine Collective came about. On August 13th, 2013, I was talking to one of my girlfriends, Susan Miner. She writes for us, Beautiful Energy. And she was helping me with post-traumatic stress techniques, which is like tapping. Have you ever heard of tapping?
No, I haven't.
I can't even explain it to you. Well, I can try. It's so bizarre. You sit there, we would sit there on Skype and, you would start tapping, like maybe your left hand, and you would go over your, let's say, your left eyebrow. And what you would do is you would tap as you would tap with your fingertips, you would say, or for me, I would say, I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm never going to, whatever, you would say everything negative that that's inside of yourself. We have this negative self chatter.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So then you're tapping away at this stuff. And it finally just dissipated. It was so bizarre. So they use that for, soldiers and whatnot that come back after.
That's so interesting.
It's so interesting. Yeah. So that day I said to her, Susan, this is crazy. We should have a place where people that don't have the access to the world that we've had tap into whatever it is that we have to offer, which is a hell of a lot better than People magazine and the Kardashians. That's how it started. And then Marla jumped on board, my partner, Marla Carlton, and she's an absolute wizard, and she's just brilliant. And she was always the one who was the writer. Always wanted to be a writer and loved words, and has always been supportive of me. And we just went berserk. And what has it been? August would be the 3rd-year anniversary of the idea, but January would be 3 years that we've been live.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
No, it's such an awesome place. I'm so happy that I'm happy that I found it, but I'm also just honored to be able to contribute to it. I love writing for you guys.
Well, we love having you. Are you kidding? It's great. And it's funny. I was had Dory on the phone today, and we were talking about it's the stories. I think when people really let their guard down and really let it fly, those are the stories that really resonate with on a global in the global audience. And people go, "Oh my God, me too, me too! Thank God somebody said it." I mean, did you catch my "Hell hath no fury," like my midlife crisis?
Yes, I did. No, that was really powerful.
I think my family's about to kick me out of the house. If I say one more word, they're gonna move. They're so embarrassed. Whatever.
Well, it's funny, that you said that, because the other day I was talking to my husband in the main part of the house where my kids were, just kind of telling him a little bit about an episode that I recorded, and I mentioned something like a story that I told about the kids, and my daughter was just like, "You talk about us on your podcast?" I was like, "Yes, occasionally. You are, part of my life and what I'm doing here."
Yeah, I mean they're our material.
Yep.
My youngest son, I have 3 children. One's 27, one's 19, and one's 14. The middle one is a girl. Anyway, the 14-year-old comes out the other day and he says, "I've never given you permission to use my image." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Here, let me show you." And he Google searches his name, and his little butt's all over the place. Take it all down. Nope.
Well, yeah. I mean, raising kids, it's doing the childhood thing all over again, but with a different perspective attached to it. It's kind of crazy.
Were you ready to be a parent? Because God, in hindsight, what the hell was I thinking?
No, I certainly wasn't. And I mean, I had a really young start. I got married when I was 20, and I had my daughter by the time I was 21, and then my son by the time I was 23. And I lived a very accelerated lifestyle. I was kind of raising myself by the time I was 12, more or less. So by the time I hit, 18, when I met my husband, I was honestly ready to do the family thing. I was ready for stability. And that being said, no, I wasn't ready. No, I remember bringing my daughter home from the hospital the first night and seeing this baby, and I was like, I'm responsible for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had my son my eldest son how old was I? I was 19.
Okay, yep.
And he was born with his intestine on the outside of his body.
Oh.
I was in New York. And I remember having a weird vibe. I remember thinking something's wrong with him. And I was in Ma's classes, with all these women that were basically twice my age. They were looking at me like, who's this little turd that's pregnant and, basically a teenager.
Yeah.
My child was the only one that was born with this, horrific birth defect. And he was taken away immediately. And I remember the doctor coming in saying, we don't know if he's going to survive or not. And I was raised with the belief that you're not supposed to have blood transfusions and all that crap. And I remember signing it, here, he can have everything, just give him everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, they saved me. But it's like it's funny, like you were saying, it's like you leave home. I mean, even for you, like leaving home at what 12, taking care of yourself. I mean, I think that at some point, and I hope it doesn't. I mean, and if it does happen, call me. I'll help you. But there's like a certain point where you go, "Holy shit!" You know, like I can't. I don't. I can't take one more thing.
Yeah. No, definitely. That for me, I mean, that I had that moment when I was pretty young just because it all started and I just felt like, okay, everything is just out of control. I need to figure out how to stabilize it.
Mm. You were like a wild child, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, big time. I was in and out of my parents' house around starting at 12, bouncing around and stuff. But I mean, even when I was there was no supervision. There was, so I was left to my own devices, and I stopped going to high school at 15. So I was just, I was hanging out at the mall basically with other kids that weren't going to school. And then I eventually got my GED and started going to junior college. And at that point, kind of started piecing things together. But no, I had some very wild years.
I quit school too. I quit school too. For me, I had another traumatic, weird incident. I was gang raped by my quote unquote boyfriend's best friend, Mickey, and a couple other people involved. And I remember going to school and just being totally shamed. And I just went into the office and I said, "I'm out of here." And that was that. Nobody questioned me. It was so bizarre. Nobody questioned me, and I didn't say anything. I wasn't brave enough to say anything. I was worried that I'd get in trouble because what was I doing, skipping class and all that shit.
Yeah.
But for years, I didn't get my GED until I was pregnant with my daughter, when I was back in my hometown. So meanwhile, I come back. I became a celebrity or quote unquote fashion supermodel, whatever. And came over there. I was pregnant at the local community college, getting my GED.
Well, I mean, the path we all have to take. I mean, there's no straight shot, and I think stumbling it's part of it. I can't remember where or actually who this quote is from, but I remember seeing it, and it was talking about how scars and tattoos and memories and everything, and as hard as it can be, it's part of the pieces that put us together.
It's interesting that you bring up memory. I was talking with my friend the other day, and we were talking about memories, and just wondering, like when you think back, or like for instance, I was listening to a song, and when I had this conversation with my friend, I was like, man, that song for me was Paris, 1993. Like whenever I hear that song, there I am in Paris, and that was the last time that I had a nice view of Paris. Like the second time around, after my adventures at the Pajama Hilton when I was living there. I mean, people would stop me on the street and go, "Are you okay?" in French, because I would literally look like I was ready to lose my shit again. So back to the story, my friend said, "Well, I often wonder about memories. I mean, did that really happen? Do we make it bigger than it was?" And my philosophy is that our minds, for memories, they keep the best and they keep the worst of a memory, and the rest of it kind of fades away. And there's a lot that actually happens even more than what we remember, right?
Definitely. Well, I mean, memory is so subjective too, because I feel like when there's certain amount of time has passed, you're able, and even if it's subconscious, you're able to kind of put opinion or thought or even hope there, on top of the memory.
What do you mean by hope?
For instance, like I'll use my own personal as an example. My dad, he was more in the background, but in a lot of ways, I kind of put him up on this pedestal because he wasn't, even though he wasn't doing anything to stop these certain things from happening, he didn't actively do them. And then I think, now that all this time has passed, I'm able to kind of go back and look at things and kind of almost make him kind of into like a better guy. You know what I mean? Because that's how I want to perceive him.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, you probably think the same thing. Unless, I mean, we collect the baggage that our parents gave to us.
Mhm.
And they receive the baggage from their parents, and it's like, I guess as we evolve, I mean, we try to get rid of as much baggage as we can as we go along. But yeah, I mean, you can turn around. I mean, I look at my parents. I turn around and I see it now so clearly. The stuff that when I was younger, I thought, oh God, how could they do that to me, or whatever. I mean, they're great parents. We always have this thing. We're always bitching about our parents when we're growing up,
Well,
the various slights and whatnot.
well, and it's interesting too. I mean, to reflect back on your childhood once you become a parent, because you're able to see it in a different way. It's like, in the background, as far as like what's going on, what it takes to do the family thing. I mean, it's not easy.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, God, if I start thinking about it, I just feel like a total jerk half the time. Like, oh, geez, I messed up my whole kids. Oh, God, you know. I mean, I always think that, in the middle of the night, freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever wake up like that?
Oh my gosh. Actually, it's like one of my things. I don't sleep through the night, whether it's a dream or a thought. I wake up, and then as soon as I open my eyes, I'm thinking of all these different things that either like could have gone better, or things that I need to do, or this random project that I want to work on. And yep. This whole year has been interesting for my family because I've gone from, working very, very part-time to working 65 hours a week. And it's been challenging to stay involved with the kids and work and, you know, be a wife and do all of that. And this last week was the last week of school, and I was trying to hit all these functions because between both of the kids, there was something every day. And towards the end of the week, there was just this unsustainable pace where, like, basically everything that I was trying to hold into place kind of just all went all over the place. But I tell myself that that's just how life works.
Yeah, you just got to breathe. I mean, I'm told I've got to breathe. I don't think I've been breathing probably for the past 30 something years. Like, really breathing.
It's funny because, like, sometimes I won't even realize that I'm holding my breath.
Yeah, exactly.
It's it's like, what? And then, like, then I notice my shoulders are like in this like tense upright position, and it's just like, just chill.
Oh, no, you're like me. You're like me with the, shoulders glued to your ears all the time. Do you have crazy eyes like I do?
I've been told that, yeah, my eyes give me away for sure.
Well, same here. My family, they always give me shit about it too. Oh yeah, look at you, my brothers especially. Man, they always rib me all the time. Got that crazy eye happening. Calm down, man. I'm gonna kick your ass. You should shut up. They're my little brothers, So basically, I was responsible for them. I mean, obviously my parents were responsible for us, but I was like babysitting their butts when I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yes, indeed. So I still like to boss them around.
Yeah.
You have to, as the older sister. How many kids are in your family?
So I have a brother that's 10 years older than me.
Does he protect you?
No, we were we kind of had two separate childhoods, and then we're just, very estranged. I mean, other than blood, I don't consider him a brother.
I'm sorry.
It's, as growing up, it was difficult for me to not feel like I had those connections, but now that, I'm blessed to have my husband. He's a kind, patient man, and a very good father. I've learned a lot from him. My kids, it's messy, but I feel like I get the second chance to kind of do a family.
Yeah, but and this is something I want to tell you. Like when we were talking about going to bed at night and like having anxiety, and I mean I'm riddled with it. Right now, especially, I'm kind of going through a bit of a patch where there's like all kinds of stuff that's like basically the shit is hitting the fan, and I'm not really sleeping and like waking up, racing mind, all this like, crazy stuff. But there have been really, really amazing moments in the past couple of years when my kids will say, I mean, listen, I've dragged them around the world. I've lost track of I don't know how many times we have moved. Well, I'm not talking about like just up the road. I'm talking about from the state to another country and back and forth. And I mean, at least 30 or 40 times.
Oh, wow.
And, and the kids gave me shit. Oh, you ruined my life. Oh, I didn't get to go to high, whatever. And I always felt so bad about it. But now they turn around and they go, Mom, we're so happy that you did that, because we don't see the world like most of the people in America see it, which is basically the Kardashians or Donald Trump. Ooh, should we talk about him?
We certainly can. I mean, I'm very concerned.
I'm very concerned, and I know that asshole.
Do you?
Ooh, I'll probably get sued. But I do. Yes, I do. In New York, back in the day, there he was, wandering around with his little pinched puss, slinking around, trying to pick up models and having parties and bringing busloads of these, young hot flesh to various shindigs. I won't even get into the rest of it, but oh, just yuck. I remember telling him, oh, just yuck, to his face. I think I even threatened him with a fork once, but I won't tell you about that story because that'll probably really get me in trouble with him. But, why? Why? He's like Hitler. The crap that comes out of his mouth is just like the Nazis, for crying out loud. Do you know what I mean?
And it really concerns me because I feel like we're in this pivotal point where, you read the news and turn on the TV. What the world is doing to each other. It's upsetting, and we need kindness and tolerance and understanding and compassion more than ever. These travesties happen, and then you go online and you see all these people picking at each other. And then I see the presidential election, and it's not what the country needs. We need to find a way to come together, not hate each other. Because, so many of us are dealing with so many things, and we all have goals for, caring for our loved ones, making a mark on the world, or whatever small section or whatever it is. Everyone has some level of desire. So it's like, why are we all hating each other? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I, for one, I don't see color. I don't see socio and economic status. I don't see any of that stuff. I don't see religion. I don't see it. It surprises me. I can go anywhere and blend in. Oh, this is a good story. I remember I loved it. One time I did this photo shoot in this place called, I'm probably massacring the name, called, was it Air Food? It was in Morocco, like at the end of Morocco, right before the Sahara Desert. And Kasbah, those Kasbahs where the people live, right? They're like these big mud castles or fortresses or whatever. So there we were. This place was ancient, and it was like a city.
Oh, wow.
Not really a slum, but everybody. It's not a slum, but everybody's like kind of living on top of each other, and it's like always like little tunnels and these little pathways, and poor, and they, who are these white people here shooting, and some of them speaking French, and there's this woman there with this makeup, and she's not wearing headgear. Headdress and all that stuff, and the little kids were so beautiful. Those little babies, they came. They took one look at me, and I'm a big sucker for kids. And the next thing you know, they came and they would bring me presents. So they would. When I had them for years, I don't know what the hell happened to them. They weaved little animals out of like palm fronds, little animals like little camels and little whatever. And they came and they presented them to me as gifts. They would come and they would jump and give me these gifts of these little sweet things that they made for me. And
wow.
I guess the elders realized that I wasn't judging them and that the kids loved me. So we were invited into the inner sanctum of their world, and we were invited to a wedding. And what was so fascinating is the women. The women, obviously in that area of the world, or most parts of the world, they're treated differently. And I was the first person or the first woman, probably in the history of that 1,500-year-old Casbah, that actually sat down and ate a meal with the men. And then you sit there and you're sitting on the floor and they're serving you the sweet tea and whatever. And one of the things that they did, which I thought was really, really, really cute, is they would show us their prized possessions, which were carpets. All of a sudden, a carpet would come in, and this is our carpet, this is our rug, the artesian, whatever, they did. So they showed carpets and blah, blah. And then at one point, I was invited into the upper realm where the women are, because, they're segregated, they're separated. And I went upstairs onto this rooftop, and all of these women, they were so beautiful. They were covered in headscarves, but they were tattooed everywhere. I mean, they were just gorgeous. And then the matriarch came, and she presented me with all of her jewelry. So that was showing me her jewelry, showing me her gifts. And then we were invited to a wedding, which is probably one of the highlights of my life. So going to this wedding in the middle of the night in the desert, right there, right at the edge of the Sahara Desert, dancing around. And then the oldest woman there, she must have been like the female team leader. All of a sudden I had a tug on my shirt, and I looked down, and she looked like she was about 350 years old. And she pulled on my skirt, and I looked at her, and she waved me down to sit next to her, and then she gave me her water to drink from her water. And it was like, that's what it's about.
That sounds like a super cool experience.
Yeah, we are all one. Everybody's breathing. We all have blood. We all have dreams. We all have love. We all have broken hearts.
That's an awesome Julie Anderson quote right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope you wrote that down. I always forget my stuff. And I just kind of go, wait, I said that?
Yeah. Well, I don't have it written down, but I have it recorded, so I can always transcribe it for you.
Yeah, thank you.
So the Feminine Collective has started into the book publishing world.
Yes. Okay, so the first goal, let's provide what's not out there, which is the truth. My truth, your truth. I mean, not judge me, not judging. And that's what our group is. Haven't we found that? Everybody's supportive.
So cool.
Like, yeah, we're not judging. It's all cool. We're all, we are love. It's our, come on in. All right, tell your story. It's all good. So that was the first bit. And then, I mean, my quote-unquote problem isn't, and I have yet to have a diagnosis, but I keep remembering that girl in Sydney who said, you don't want a label. But my thing is I think about 300 steps ahead of time, and my mind works really, really fast, and I need to have probably a team of 20 people to accomplish everything that I want to accomplish, and I want it all done next week. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to do videos and media. Hell, man, I want to take over the Huffington Post. I think it's all about dreaming real big.
I agree with you so hard there. I think dreaming big is so key, and I mean, I'm hooked on it. There's this one quote. It was on a bookmark, and it said, "Shoot for the moon, because you could land in the stars."
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd say shoot for the moon and catch those stars and put them in your pocket. No, so the book publishing, so that was always in the beginning. That's always what we thought. Now, Marla and I, we work. We don't have to be in each. I mean, God knows how we've been able to do it. I mean, really, we're insane. Marla stays up all night long and works on a project, and I wake up probably a half an hour after she goes to sleep, and then I work all day long. So pretty much for like 24/7 a day. And
That's
it's
awesome.
The two of us, and then we were now fortunate enough to have Stephanie Ortiz. You know Stephanie, right?
Yep. Awesome pieces.
Yeah, beautiful writer. She's got the heart of gold. So she's helping us with social media and whatnot. And then there's Dory, who's helping us with social media, which was great because I was about to shoot myself. I mean, if I had to spend one more minute just dealing with that alone, oh my God, it just like kills your creativity.
Well, and it's so time consuming all on its own too, that it can spiral, and then you're like, I've just spent 3 hours on social media. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, and then you're drained, and then your mind is mush, and then you're like, ah.
I know.
So now we've got the girls or the ladies, and they're the rock stars here of the scene. And so then what happened was, so then we last summer. This is kind of a funny story. So you know how it is in life, right? Especially if you're somebody, I mean, I'm pretty confident. Look at me, I'm pretty confident. I'm, crapping on and saying it like it is. But then there's a certain point where you go, wait a minute, maybe I'm not so confident. But
Definitely.
we were kind of at a place where it was a little bit like, I don't know. I mean, is it catching on? I don't know. We're working so hard. I mean, like blood, sweat, and tears here. Ignoring our husbands, not paying attention to our kids. The house is going to shit, and who cares? I mean, nobody fed the cats. Too bad. Feed yourself.
I relate to a lot of that.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. And then we did this interview with this woman. Some kind of, what was it called? God, I can't even remember it. This woman named Sean Lee Cochran, and she was about building relationships, thriving relationships, and it was interesting. She had us on it, a bunch of other, forward thinkers or whatever we're called, and the woman said, "Well, most of the people that I've interviewed, they all have something to offer, like because people buy tickets or whatever they do. I don't know how that works, and then you buy a ticket and you want to hear Julie and Marla talk about whatever they want to talk about, and when you do that, then you'll get something from them." So we're going back and forth, and it was kind of like, well, what do we have to offer? What do we have to offer? What do we have to offer? And I was like, Marla, what we have to offer are our stories. And we put that book together. I mean, meanwhile, Marla is a perfectionist, and her editing was just outstanding. But we put the book together. We used flashcards and all the stories, and it was probably so much fun. So much fun looking at our stories, looking at the words, looking at the gifts that everybody gave us in their hearts. And it was there. Every single story that we publish, we take it so personally. It's like, those are our babies, man. We'll fight for them.
That's so awesome.
Oh, that's how we are, man. It's like, it's personal. Don't mess with our writers. Don't do it. Don't pick a fight with us. So we put that book together, and then in the end, what was so funny is that we could see a pattern. Like, for me, my pattern is, I'm totally fucked up. How do I find myself? Oh God, this epic search, right? And then what was Marla's pattern? I forget. Marla's pattern, I think, is all about owning your shit and empowerment. And everybody had something. It was like everybody had. It was weird. It was like this thread, this pattern. And then I said to Marla, I said, "Oh my God, we have just created our very own self-help book." It's like reality of, we've just done that with poetry and essays and all of these beautiful hearts. Now, unfortunately, which was kind of a drag, and maybe, I mean, if you believe in everything happens for a reason, I mean, we slammed that book together. I don't know how many hours she stayed up at night, like reading and rereading and looking for extra comment and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And, one of the miracles that happened was the cover of that book. I took the photo of that book, and I said, that's the cover. And then right at the last minute, Marla looks at it and she goes, oh my God, there's a tag on it. And so then she investigates the tag, and it happens to be this really, she's badass graffiti artist who is, she's like the female version of Banksy. And that's a very male world, right? And I remember sweating bullets because it was like, oh crap, we can't run this on the cover without getting her permission. That's so wrong. So I wrote her the letter, and I was just like, this is what's happening. We have no money. We're completely insane, but we believe in this. And my photo of your artwork says it all. We can take it off. or if you would be so kind, if we could use it. And she wrote back and she goes, you know what, I'm totally honored. She said, I am a recovering heroin addict. I used to be living in a car, homeless, and I'm all about helping people and helping women and helping people that, are lost find themselves. And she goes, and in fact, I'd like to contribute a poem. And that's the Paz the Sister poem.
Oh,
So it
wow.
was just like all these like little tiny little miracles that came out. And then of course the day before the book was announced, it was ready to roll. After we pushed it, I got the phone call that my father had colon cancer.
Oh.
So I had to fly to Florida. So then there I was in Florida for 30 days, going back and forth. I mean, that's a whole other story. But back and forth to Florida, and coming back and then being depressed, come back, and it's like I think I'm pre-grieving. I come back and I go into like a deep, but I'm a depressive anyway, so I get right down into that dark hole.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about the dark hole.
Oh God, that sucks. It like takes all of your just takes it all out of you.
It's so true.
And then then by some grace, some kind of miracle, then I'm not glorifying mental illness or anything like that, but I will say that a bit of mania, I dig.
Yeah.
I dig that when that kind of hits.
It's hard to really hate on obsessive productivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Julie, can you tell everybody where to find you?
Okay, so Twitter, my handle is. It's very obnoxious, I was told, because it's in capital letters. But you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm not a rule person, just so you know. Okay, so it's capital letters, and then it starts with a 1, and then the rest of it is Julie Anderson. That's on Twitter. 1 Julie Anderson.
Awesome.
And then we've got Instagram, which is Julie Anderson Official on Instagram. I love Instagram.
I do too.
Oh God, I love Instagram. And then, then we got Facebook, and then we've got, the public page. Boy, I don't know about your public page, but boy, it's a pain in the ass to get going on that one.
Yeah.
It's like, hello. Okay, so on that one, I am official Julie Anderson. And I know it sounds so cheesy, but, name your kid a very common name, and it's very hard to stick out from the crowd. I have a website, julieandersonofficial.com. That's my personal website. I kind of do things here and there. I take pictures. It's like kind of a image stories and dreams. Trying to kind of catalog what it is inside of me that feels like it's going to explode if it doesn't have any
outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that feeling?
I know it quite well. Thankful that happens very rarely now that I've switched to writing for full time. I'm writing all the time, but even if it's not, I can get caught up with the business end of things. But at the same time, when I do go ahead and put all myself down on paper, there's also there's like an exhaustion that comes after that as well, which I'm not complaining, but it's definitely, I'm usually like kind of worn out after a good creative session.
No, may I just ask you really quickly, just out of creative interest, how long does it take you? What's your deal? How do you get yourself in that space? Do you have like a schedule? I mean, everybody's telling me, get a schedule. And for me, it's like, a schedule? What the hell does that mean? It's like...
Yeah, see, I've tried the schedule thing too. And for the problem with me is if I tell myself to do this certain thing at a certain time, I want to do the other thing. So, yeah. I mean, that's just how I'm wired. And for a while I was battling it, saying, no, I'm going to work on this thing that I scheduled. But then it's counterproductive because it's like I rely on ideas. So shooing ideas away doesn't seem good to me. So what I basically do is I have a list of goals to reach that week. And, the 3 times a week with different podcasts keeps me on on a routine. But I go at the day knowing what my goals are, but just leaning towards what I'm naturally inclined to do. And having multiple projects, I love for that because I'm able to be creative in different places. Even if I'm not inspired to write this fantasy story, then I write an essay, or that I work on contemporary or the podcast.
Oh, and I love that about you, and thank you for sharing that with me, because sometimes I think to myself, I'm always thinking to myself, that's it, I've completely lost my mind. But, you know, it's okay, actually, isn't it, to have different things that you're interested in? It's okay.
Definitely. Well, I think it's pretty clutch, actually. I mean, and
Did you just use the word clutch?
yes.
Oh my God, you're so cool. I just learned that word, what was a couple of minutes? So clutch. What? That's so funny. So funny. Yeah, keep me up, please. Add to the list, keeping Julie cool
Yeah.
with the updated fab slang words.
Well, I don't know how updated I am. My kids started using, word, and I'm like, oh, that means cool. And they're like, no, it means awkward. I'm like, definitely not. So I don't know if that's like just their school, because I heard their friends using it too. But my husband and I were talking like, no, word is definitely cool.
So funny. God, the kids are so weird. I think by the time it's all said and done, we're just gonna have be completely bald with our eyes bugging out.
Yep. I think it's a good possibility.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, and the last place you can find us is obviously femininecollective.com. I have a column on there called The Pursuit of Perfection.
I love it.
And why do you think it's called that?
Well, perfection is not achievable, but pursuing self, fulfillment is how I.
Yeah, no, you got it. You got it. Pursuit of perfection. My whole life, I had to be perfect, and I never was perfect. Photo shoots, you go on, you get a job, and then they turn around and they go, oh, I mean, like right to your face. Well, it's too bad you gained 5 pounds.
Oh.
Well, it's too bad that I mean, for crying out loud, at fucking 27 years old or even younger, I was buying La Prairie products.
Oh man.
Like, what the hell? you know, Buying all this expensive shit. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's all a load of crap. It really is. But that's another conversation for another day.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for coming on and talking. It's been so awesome talking to you. It's been a pleasure.
I feel like we know each other forever.
I do too. Well, I mean, and that just goes into the really cool community that, you're building. It's freaking awesome.
Just to clarify, I'm not doing it by myself. Each one of you people, each one of you glorious, glorious, brave people, it's a privilege and it's an honor, and I cannot thank you enough for supporting us and being a part of our family.
Oh, well, it's a treat. It's awesome. And thank you again, Julie, for coming on. It's been great.
You're welcome.
And that wraps it up, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at @MeBettingfield and follow the show at Twitter at Too Many Words Pod. Come to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, leave a review. Let me know what you think. And of course, you can find all my good stuff on my site at JaymeBettingfield.com. Until next time.